R&P Sports presents the American Sports Cavalcade. A panorama of speed, color, drama, and excitement. The American Sports Cavalcade.
We've had a lot more rain than we've had fire. In fact, the 12th running of the Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals is in its 6th day of competition. But NHRA wouldn't give up, and the racers certainly didn't want to give up, and the fans, they all stayed. So finally, we go into final eliminations very late in the day. Yesterday, finally, 2 of the allowed qualifying runs were achieved by the pro racers. More rain, and now the finals start late. But if you've seen drag racing under the lights, you know it can be a real treat, right, guys? Nitro flames taller than the roof of the funny cars, taller than the wings on the top field racers. But with the track dry, the racers start the real battle against the thin air of the high Colorado mountains. And inside the trailer that carries this Jim White funny car is Brock Yates to tell us more about that. Brock?
Well, Steve, now that the NHRA Winston Championship Tour has moved about 5,600 feet up the eastern slope of the Rocky Mountains after having raced along the eastern seaboard at about sea level, we've got a whole new different set of problems facing us. And I'll tell you what, a man who has raced here a bunch of places and also had his Hawaiian cars racing practically everywhere on this continent, maybe a few others as well, Roland Leong, I think may have a better handle on what needs to be done here than anybody else. Roland, what do you figure we're going to have to do here at Denver?
Well, to make up for the lack of air, what we usually do is we up the compression of the motor. Here is a piston on the left that we run. It's a 7-to-1 compression piston, flat top. And what we'll do is we'll put the piston, which is on the right, is a 7.5-to-1 compression. So actually, essentially, we're raising the compression a half a point. That way, we don't have to raise the blower or the magnetos or the fuel nitro, which already got 98% in it, as much as we would if we didn't do that.
So less atmospheric pressure, basically less horsepower, but you're going to raise the compression ratio to compensate somewhat for that.
For the lack of air, yes, Rob.
Okay. There you have it from a man who really knows what's going on here at Denver, and another guy that knows a whole lot about what's going on here at Denver. Let's go to our pal, Big Daddy Don Garlitz.
Well, guys, there's been a lot of rain here, but there's also been fire because the crew's only got 2 qualifying attempts because of the weather, and we're also at real high altitude. There's been a lot of misjudgment on the part of the crews to set these engines properly. So we've seen a lot of smoking tires, cars going out of shape, and a lot of blown engines. By far, the worst incident involved Lori Johns, the car in the far lane. It was that well-known problem to nitro racers, a hydraulic cylinder. What happened is that the cylinder filled up with liquid fuel, the piston came up, had nowhere to go, and pushed the cylinder head off with great destructive force and fire. Lori, being the professional that she is, got the car stopped very quickly as the safety safari came to her aid. As she got out of the car, she could not believe the absolute destruction that explosion caused. In all my years in the sport, seldom have I seen such destruction.
Lori, first of all, you okay?
I'm fine. This is really disappointing. I don't believe, I mean, I've never seen destruction like that before, and I've seen some pretty bad ones. This is not what's supposed to happen. Pretty humiliating.
And it was certainly one of the brightest Roman candles we've seen in a long time. No heat in the cockpit, though?
No, I was fine. I just got out and kind of dropped down to my knees. I couldn't believe we had so much damage, and this is just not what you want to see happen. We want to do well, and this is not supposed to happen.
Indeed not.
Now, generally speaking, a blown engine is not serious. The crew just puts in a new engine, and they're ready to race. Not true in Lori's case. The engine explosion was so violent that the chassis was severely damaged. The crew had to withdraw it from competition till they could get to a chassis shop for major repairs, and that's why we won't be seeing Lori in competition today. Right now, we're ready for the first pair, round 2, top fuel.
And guys, talk about an incredible contrast between 2 drivers and teams. We'll be seeing Kenny Bernstein. There's no team better financed, better equipped. They run all of the NHRA Winston Championship races. And in the far lane, Junior Kaiser, who runs exactly 1 race, and that is right here in his hometown.
So if anybody knows how to get down this Denver Strip in this rare air, it should be Junior.
As we look over the shoulder at Kenny Bernstein as he does his burnout, that is the fuel pressure gauge right there below his right hand. As he is going to go against Junior Kaiser, who I'm sure has upset on his mind.
Oh, absolutely. From just a few miles away in Lakewood, Colorado, Junior only has 1 week into here to blow up all of his stuff. He tried to blow it up against Gene Snow, but actually got to the finish line first. As we'll see as we look back in round number 1, Snow on the right-hand side of your screen, Junior on the left-hand side of your screen. You can see Junior's car much older, much shorter, but the tires didn't know Snow had the better car. They smoked, the engine blew, and Junior talked with me. I don't have to tell you guys the roar that went up from the Colorado fans in this grandstand when their man, Junior Kaiser, won here in the first round. Great job, Junior.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Looks like he went up in smoke, and we just didn't, so I guess we win, huh?
Any advantage to living and racing in Denver all your life?
I'd like to think so, but if you can't get out and race all the races, you kind of forget how to tune them up right. But we do know a little bit about on top of the hill. You know, you got to put a lot of percentage in them, a little more magneto and a lot of supercharger, right?
And a lot of desire.
That's right. Well, we got the want-tos real bad, you know.
Well, Junior got by one of the really tough ones in Gene Snow. Let's see how he can do against this man, Kenny Bernstein. Kenny got by Eddie Hill on round number 1 as the number 5 qualifier to 5:32, so he ought to be tough here.
And he may be tougher than he has been this year. They've made some major chassis changes to this car, hoping to get more bite, Don Garlitz.
Been very consistent. 533, 532. Look at the front wheels up.
Kenny Bernstein has one of the prettiest runs in a long time for him, and he defeats Junior Kaiser. 523, 264 miles per hour. Don Garlitz is at the starting line with Dale Armstrong, his crew chief.
It's tough up on this mountain, ain't it?
Oh, man, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, well, every round seems to be different, too, and then the weather's varying, the track's varying, but right now the track initially is very good, Don.
Better watch that front end. It was really carrying it, wasn't it?
I know. You know the major change we made in that car with the motor location and stuff, and we've been raising the wheelie bar a little bit, but I think it's time to lower it just a bit.
That's the first big smile we've seen out of him for quite a while. Maybe they're starting to get the combination here as he heads down to see Bernstein. And now this is funny car action coming up in a little while. Round 2, that's Ed McCullough's pit area. He'll face Mark Oswald.
Their crew are being very careful. They're running good. They don't want to lose that combination. Very elusive up here at 6,000 feet, Rob.
Absolutely. That's why Bernie Federley eyeballs the computer. Now let's go to Steve.
You know, normally at sea level, when I tell Kenny Bernstein he ran a 523, he'd frown. That ought to bring a grin.
Oh, it's fantastic, Steve. It's great to kind of be back sort of like, you know, and make a good run.
Now, all the work on the back half of this car, it's hard to tell here if that's really paying off.
Well, in a way it is, in a way it isn't. We got a pretty loose racetrack. I'd hate to think if we hadn't done this work where we'd be today, but hats off to Dale and the crew. I mean, they worked hard at it. This run they worked hard, but they worked hard for 2 weeks.
Great drive.
Hey, fantastic, great.
Let's go back and take a look at one of these big slicks on Kenny Bernstein's car, and you can see just how badly it is spinning the tire at the far end of the racetrack. It has chewed the center out of both tires. There'll be new rubber on this car.
As it turns out, not an uncommon problem here at Denver. Other automobiles have been having that problem as well. Hopefully not these guys. This is one of the crewmen of Candy's and Hughes' funny car, driven by that man, Mark Oswald. He'll face Ed McCullough coming up later.
Brought to you by Dodge. For exciting cars and tough trucks, it's Advantage Dodge. And by Goodyear Eagle Radials, the best-selling performance radials in the world.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the world's best-selling line of high-performance street tires, Goodyear Eagle Street Radials. The champions know, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
When my customers ask about ignition parts, I tell them if you're driving an everyday car, regular replacement brands work just fine. But if they're driving something special, I recommend high-performance Excel parts like the powerful 50,000-volt supercoil and their Super Duty caps with brass inserts. So if you want a performance tune-up, get the parts that perform. Excel.
Available at quality parts stores coast to coast.
We asked some Honda owners why they switched to Dodge Spirit.
It's much roomier than a Honda.
You're not crunched in the back seat as you were in a Honda.
I feel that I'm getting my money's worth.
Dodge Spirit has an airbag.
Could save the life of someone in the family.
It's really built for travel.
It feels more solid than a Honda.
For me, Chrysler's making a car that's competing head-on with the Japanese.
Dodge Spirit, an American car Honda owners can be proud of.
Looks like Showtime's at it again. They say they have big movies, but they don't say how many. That's because HBO has twice as many of the top 25 films exclusively, including the year's biggest: Batman, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Lethal Weapon 2, blockbusters you just won't see on Showtime. And HBO has Mike Tyson exclusively, plus nearly twice as many original programs. So where will you see the year's biggest hits? HBO. Simply the best.
We're back at Vandermeer Speedway just outside of Denver, Colorado for the third running of the NHRA Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals. There's more Top Fuel racing to come, but let's look back earlier today. This was Casey Spurlock in the near lane. He had a bye run, no competition, but all of the smoke out of that engine told us he had big problems. Don Garlitz?
This crack, this is what caused all that smoke. This engine hydraulic. Up here on this mountain, it's very difficult to burn a lot of fuel, but you must burn a lot of fuel if you want to make horsepower. And sometimes you go over the edge, the piston comes up, the liquid won't compress, and that's what you get, the big crack block. This block is ruined. Now, this team is putting in a new engine. They're trying to get ready to race Hoover in the next round. There's a thrash going on here. There's only so much time, and they must get everything right. Now, this car has been completely taken apart, as you can see. A lot of parts and pieces here to go back together and be perfect.
And Don, some interesting stuff going on over in Tom Hoover's pits. Now, we knew his 84-year-old father, George, crew chiefed the car, but we didn't know his mom, Ruth, got into the toolbox very often. Ruth, I think Ruth is spunning us, Don.
I think so. It's a good thing Spurlock don't see this. It might upset him just a little bit.
All right, let's continue on with round number 2 of Top Fuel. And this will pit Gary Ormsby up against that man over there in the far lane. That is Jack Ostrander. And when you get up on this mountain, there are no easy ones. Ostrander is always a good, solid, middle-of-the-pack runner. Ormsby has won the last 2 races in a row, but I guarantee he does not take the man who runs the bowling alley in Pontiac, Michigan lightly. You can see it in his eyes. He wants to win an NHRA national event. Gary Ormsby, he has won more of them than we can even remember. As I said, the last 2 included. So he's looking for the hat trick here in Denver.
A lot of pressure on Ormsby because, like you said, Steve, no one is counted an underdog on this mountain. Anyone can come up with a win anytime because they're just shooting out there like a shotgun trying to get a combination.
Don't forget, too, Don, that Ormsby qualified number 1, but had a bye run in round 1. So he is sort of 1 down as far as development time is concerned here.
Oh, but you can see the flames come up first on Ormsby's engine. That means he left first, and he arrived at the finish line first. But what a race Jack Ostrander gave him. You saw the crew chief for Ormsby, Lee Beard, stare twice at that wind light to make sure it was theirs. A 5:38 beat a quicker 5:34. Watch the lead, Don.
Gary Ormsby makes his patented deep stage, gets Ostrander off the line, and it looks like he's just going to drive away. But Ostrander comes up with some horsepower in the middle of the course and actually catches up. And this is where you see that starting line advantage pay off. Ormsby pulls by for a very decisive win.
Well, Don, in a sense, it's deceiving, though, because the numbers tell a slightly different story. Gary, a better reaction time, 0.419 to Jack's 0.523, although a lower ET for Ostrander loses.
Well, Gary, you're always quick to credit Lee Beard, your crew chief. You won that one with a huge hole shot.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I didn't seem to run that well on that run.
It did not, a 5:38.
Yeah, I felt it was pretty soft all the way down.
Well, the Bernstein crew was just applauding on their way back to the pits because they have lane choice over you in the next round.
Oh, well, we'll have to try to get this thing to run a little bit. Our lanes ain't going to make no difference.
What do you think it is?
It's dropping cylinders. It's lame from the minute I step on it.
Well, that's usually the element on the mountain.
That's for sure.
I can tell by Gary's eyes that crew chief Lee Beard has got his work cut out for him.
Maybe make it run on all 8 cylinders for openers, huh, Don?
You bet.
As we go to more round 2 top fuel action, Joe Amato versus Jim Head. And Amato has won the last 2 races here at Bandimere in a high altitude, so he's got the combination at least he and Tim Richards do.
I tell you what, if I had Tim Richards' high-altitude recipe, I could be richer than Joe Amato by selling it to the competition. Jim Head, Columbus, Ohio, Westerville, actually a suburb, graduate engineer, and applies a lot of science to his race cars. You'll see all kinds of little doodads and tricks on the machine, a very narrow front end, anything to try to get that ET down. They are pre-staged. Amato on the right-hand side of your screen or near lane. As Brock said, he's won the last 2 events here on the mountain, is the toughest competitor in the rare air. A good start. Oh, but Amato just pummels Jim Head. Oh, a 5:13.274. Incredible. Let's go to Don Garlett's with the man, Tim Richards.
Nice new fat track record.
Well, this track is a lot better than it was. This is the best this track's been the whole race, and of course the air has gotten a lot better. That run, Head was scaring me pretty good with that wheel stand he had going there, but we're thankful to run that fast here. Thanks.
Remember, Don, 5:13 to be slow at most racetracks, but at 5,000 feet, that's real quick.
You bet. In fact, that's a track record. Watch Head's flames come up first. He actually stepped on the throttle, but the clutch did not react because Amato moved out first. Then a wheel stand by Head. If he hadn't had that wheelie bar, you know what happens when they go to the moon. But the wheelie bar saved him, even though it pushed him over toward the center line. But Amato, the class of the field, continues to charge.
Okay, more round 2 action and top fuel. A couple of Franks. That is Frank Bradley. He will go against Frank Hawley in the Darrell Gwynn automobile. They're getting fired up. But first, let's go to Steve.
Well, Joe Amato has just become the big noise on Thunder Mountain with the quickest elapsed time ever recorded at altitude 5:13.
Tim Richards and guys, they're making the horsepower, Steve. Mile high, I guess we're mile high and we're going fast.
Also, the clutch man is doing his job. The first time that your tires haven't been blistered, much like we just saw in Kenny Bernstein's car.
Yeah, we've been putting a new set of tires on every run. It's been just burning the centers right out of the tires, you know.
Not this time.
Well, the track's getting better. You know, it's cooling down, and Timmy said the track's a lot better than it's been all weekend. He thought Hornsby was going to run a 5:10 there, but he didn't. He must have dropped the cylinder or something. But we'll just hope we can get to the final here and keep going along with getting them valuable Winston points.
Well, you got to start all over again, Don. You know, track record, you completely forget that when you go back down to the other end, don't you? It doesn't mean a thing right now.
About the only thing it means, it does have psychological impact on your competition.
And the competition, whoever he may be, hoping that Amato is running right on the ragged edge and maybe will overpower the track in the next round. Well, I'll tell you, it's a big name spell at the hands of the 2 we're about to see. Frank Bradley from California dropped Shirley Muldowney earlier in round number 1. And Frank Hawley, who qualified number 2, beat Dick LaHaye in round 1, who you seldom see go out early on the mountain or anywhere else. And now the 2 are side by side.
You know, Steve, if I had to handicap these cars, I'd have to say, you know, Frank Bradley can make a lot of power anytime he wants to, but Hawley has been running good. You know, that number 2 qualifying spot, that's tough. But Frank is not going to lay down and play dead dog.
It's just dark enough now. You'll see the nitro flames, and you saw the flames come up first on Frank Bradley because he left first, but doesn't have the power to run with the Darrell Gwynn car and Frank Hawley. Hawley at 5:25, 260 miles per hour. Bradley at 5:45, 252. Let's go to the starting line again. Don Garlitz with crew chief Ken Venny.
Well, you're plenty consistent, but it's going to have to step up a little bit.
For sure. We tried to beat Bradley is all we tried to do, but now we lost lane choice, and hopefully we won't need it. I mean, hopefully the track will be even enough.
I don't think there's any difference in the lanes.
Not right now. I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, that does it as Venny heads for the other end. We've got the pairings for the final 4 here at Denver. It will be Frank Hawley versus Joe Amato. Joe has lane choice. In the other pair, a suddenly resurgent Kenny Bernstein against Gary Ormsby, and Bernstein surprisingly has lane choice. And now let's go to Steve.
Well, frankly, Frank, that was a nice win over Frank.
Yeah, a lot of Franks there. You know, we went out and we watched Amato run a 13 right in front of us, and he's really, really going to be tough. I think we have him next round. I'm not real sure, but we might have run a team, but the car smoked the tires, did have to lift off the throttle, so that probably hurt it quite a bit.
525.
Well, I think that's pretty good considering, you know, I did get off the throttle once, so hopefully we're going to get that clutch dial in a little bit and maybe give Amato a race next round.
Well, Frank had to get up the throttle, and we have to get up the racetrack.
And we got some more racing coming up, including this automobile, the Oldsmobile of Warren Johnson. He is going to face Mark Powick in Pro Stock Round 2. That and a whole lot more coming up.
We've got some of the best Sunday drivers you'll ever see. We're Mopar, Chrysler Motors Parts. Chrysler-engineered Mopar parts prove themselves on the track for winning performance on the road.
Last year, while the other guys were fighting over truck sales supremacy, the roof fell in. Dodge ranked highest of any full-size pickup in the J.D. Power Survey of Customer Satisfaction. So this year, while the other guys were fighting again, deja vu. Dodge Ram's ranked highest for the second year in a row. So if you want customer satisfaction, drop in on your Dodge dealer.
Get up to $2,000 cash back or 0% financing on selected trucks.
Introducing Swivel and Spray. Swivel and Spray's precision European design lets you rinse all the way up to the edge of your sink. Forget splashing by hand. Swivel and Spray has two positions, stream or spray, and actually boost your water pressure by 40% to make short work of rinsing dirty dishes, pots, and pans. Swivel and Spray stays in any position, so both hands are free for extra convenience. Swivel and Spray screws on easily with washers and adapter, guaranteed to fit your faucet. Swivel and Spray, it's so handy, you'll want one for every sink. Swivel and Spray normally sells for $14.95 each, but through this special TV offer, order now and get 2 Swivel and Sprays for only $19.95. Save almost $10.
Order now by credit card to save COD charges and call 1-800-257-0800 or send check or money order for $19.95 plus $4 shipping and handling to Swivel and Spray, P.O. Box 10030, Stamford, Connecticut. Swivel and Spray is guaranteed to fit. Call now 1-800-257-0800.
We're back at the Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals outside of Denver. You KC Spurlock fans, well, you can heave a little sigh of relief. The new engine is in the car. Here you see it being test-fired. Buzzy Carter from the Eddie Hill crew coming over to lend a hand in the yellow shirt. They should make it to the staging lanes easily for round number 2, which is right now getting underway. Head-on burnout shot of Ed McCullough in the Larry Minor-owned Oldsmobile bodied funny car. They'll be up against this young man, Mark Oswald, in the Paul Candiz-owned Ford Pro bodied funny car.
So a couple of real veterans, guys that have won a ton of events between them. Very difficult to choose. No apparent difference in the lanes right now. Is there, Don?
We got a dead-even racetrack, and I'll tell you, that's what the racers and the fans love. They don't want to know who's going to win before they come up to the line.
No, absolutely not. And I think a lot of credit has to go to NHRA Safety Safari for making sure that those lanes stay as equal as possible with all of their traction compounds and jet heating devices and everything else. Now, Ed McCullough qualified number 4 and ran up against a Denver rookie from right here on the mountain. Lynn Soroka dispatched him easily. Mark Oswald qualified right behind the ace in the number 5 spot in the 560, and he beat California driver Gary Densham in round number 1.
So it's going to be interesting. These cars, as Don said, almost exactly dead even as far as their performance here at Denver. And certainly you can't give either one of these drivers any edge as far as experience or driving skill is concerned.
I guess if I had to fault them, it will be tire smoke is what will ruin this race. Ed or Oswald could smoke the tires.
Well, it's Ed away first. Ed McCullough near lane, darted to the rail, drove it back. Mark Oswald shuts it off for reasons that were not obvious to me. McCullough wins it at a 5:55, 252 miles per hour. Let's go to the starting line. Don Garlitz with McCullough's crew chief, Bernie Federley.
Ed looking pretty good today.
Well, the track's tightened up a little bit. It looks real nice out there now, and I think we can get down there a little bit quicker if we have to, depending on the weather change here for the semifinal. We'll see how it goes, but things look pretty good right now.
Well, let's see how things look for this crew. This is Roland Leong's Hawaiian automobile with Jim White on board. Remember, Roland talked about the problems here, the setup at Denver. He'll go against Jerry Caminito in that beautiful blue and white automobile, and Jim White will have lane choice.
But Caminito has looked extremely well up on this mountain. Got a good combination.
Well, so does this man, Jim White. Don, he qualified number 2 at a 5:56. So, as Roland said earlier, I think they understand the problem here at Denver.
Very good burnout by both cars. Very professional.
And look at that fire. Now let's go to Steve.
Well, Ed McCullough did not quite take Mark Oswald's track record away from him, but the quickest time of funny car racing this long weekend, 5:55.
Well, we'll take that. You know, the racetrack obviously is getting a little better. More cars going down the track. It's cooled off a little bit. You know, we'll take them one at a time.
I stood on the edge of the racetrack and had a head-on view, and your car started to move around about 1,000 feet.
Well, you know, Steve, these things go out there in about half track. I mean, they get real loose. It's been doing it all weekend. You know, we need about 3 or 4 inches more spoiler on the back, and they'll go down here.
They're not going to give you that.
I wish.
The rules, I mean.
Yeah, you remember 2 years ago, NHRA dramatically reduced the size of these spoilers. The cars had started to look like pickup trucks, for God's sake.
Well, not so now, and the cars are squirrely because of it. As we watch Jim White backing up and getting ready to go.
And no one has had more fun sightseeing around here than Jerry Caminito. You see, they just don't have mountains like this in Brooklyn, New York. This is the furthest west that Caminito and his crew have ever been. They came here with a lot of confidence. Well, maybe until they run up against this guy, Jim White, from Tulsa, Oklahoma. A lot of people have said it, including yours truly. He's just a win, looking for a place to happen in that car in the near lane.
That's right, Steve. He has run so good so many times that some little fluke always happens, and we know that sooner or later he's going to get there.
Will it be here on the mountain in Denver? It is Caminito away first. In twilight, we see the nitro flames licking at the sides of those bodies. And Roland Leong, that's about the most emotion he will ever show, because by 1/100th of a second, they just took low elapsed time of the event for funny cars at 5:54, 253 miles per hour. So now it is Jim White, the man to beat.
And some of Kenny Bernstein's fans would like to think he might be the man to beat in the Top Fuel Final Four. We'll be back at Denver.
Wherever dirt goes, you know it's up to no good, especially when dirt goes for your car. So when it comes to stopping dirt, more people go with Fram. Because no air filter traps more dirt than Fram. It's the #1 way to stop dirt in its tracks.
Oh, no!
Oh, yeah. Fram, the end of the road for dirt.
This is not what you want in a shave. Now you've got the edge. This is the shave with 6 rich lubricants. This is the shave that reduces irritation. This is the shave. For less irritation, you've got the edge.
Country music. It's about as American as catching a doubleheader on a Sunday afternoon. It can be rowdy and fun. It can be peaceful and heartfelt. And when you hear a surefire hit song for the first time, it's like seeing a Grand Slam homer. Keep hitting them, TNN. Pow.
Homeowners, what will you do when your local landfill refuses to take branches, leaves, and other yard wastes anymore? Piling up these materials creates an awful eyesore, and burning is just not the answer. But now, the Troy-built Tomahawk Chipper Shredder offers a modern, easy way to dispose of all your yard wastes. The Tomahawk devours leaves, brush, and prunings, and chips branches up to 3 inches thick. It conveniently bags the shreddings and wood chips it produces, so you can easily recycle these materials as free fertilizers and attractive landscape mulch. The Tomahawk Chipper Shredder will make your property look great by turning hard to get rid of trash into treasure. For your free catalog on the complete lineup of Tomahawk Chipper Shredder models for small and large properties, call toll-free 1-800-843-4700. There is no obligation, so call today. That's 1-800-843-4700. Operators are standing by.
Earlier during pre-race ceremonies, when all the fans were looking forward to thunder on the racetrack, well, we got some thunder all right, and it came right out of the sun, courtesy of Julie Clark, one of the top female aerobatic pilots in all the world. And those in the VIP tower, well, just watch. I was just as happy to be outside on that one.
It definitely got everybody's attention to the starting line. A lot like Englishtown, Don Garlitz, when you did that little turnaround deal. Remember that?
Yes, I was in the tower, and as I watched Julie come at us, I figured out just what the people on the starting line in Englishtown were thinking.
Okay, back at round 2 funny car action. John Force, you're looking over his shoulder right now as he does his burnout. He'll go against Bruce Larson. But now, let's go to Jim White at the far end, who just set low ET of the meet.
You know, as you got to the finish line, the flames went down. That means you shut it off a little bit earlier. It shut itself off to a 554.
No, I shut it off just a little bit early. It nosed over just a little bit. We can put a jet or two on it. It'll be just fine.
That's rather than abuse the equipment?
That's correct.
Good job.
Great show by Jim White in the Hawaiian automobile of Roland Leon's. As we watch Bruce Larson in the foreground and his funny car up there in the upper left, that is John Force getting ready to go. Steve, and it's going to be a good race.
It will, and Bruce Larson hopes this will be a winning affair. He's the defending Winston champion. We're past midpoint in the season. He has not won a race. Oh, John Force leads the Winston points. He is trying to carve the #1 off of Bruce's car and put it on this machine. And a tip of the hat to Mark O'Gara, our in-car camera coordinator. These are the finest pictures we have ever seen.
I'll tell you, it looks like you are inside the car and actually going to make the run. This is what you actually see, folks, when these cars race.
And watch how this body contorts. It's a shame we can't give you the G feeling off of the starting line. Boy, that would be a technical achievement. They're staged and ready. You're riding along with John Force. Do you see Larson? No, you don't, and neither did John Force. 5:59 at 2:54 defeats Larson's 5:56. Larson again ran quicker than John Force, and again he lost the reaction time war.
Well, it looks like it's going to be you against old Federley.
It does appear that way, doesn't it? It'll probably be a pretty good race here, and you know, we got to do whatever we can here, and it's kind of tough running up here on the mountain, little practices we get, but Force helped us out on that one, huh?
Johnny did a good job.
He certainly did.
Well, he sure did. They beat Bruce Larson on the starting line with a much, much better reaction time, Don Garlitz.
You know, it's such a difference, a full 1/10 of a second in the reaction time. And you see that clutch dust? I think that Larson was having some kind of clutch problem to be that late. He's a better driver than that. But Force's car was performing flawlessly, and especially John as a driver. Look at him make up the distance here. He just keeps going on and on. Very nice win for John.
So let's go to John Force with Steve Evans at the far end.
I tell you what, every time Bruce Larson races John Force, he runs quicker, but Force beats him anyway. He's going to get sick and tired of seeing you.
I tell you what, I told Austin up there when he got lane choice, I was standing on the hill, just made me sick. And I told Austin we're going to get him on the light. And it's tough because you got to get out there and you got to get aggressive. I was scared to death, and I kept telling myself, get tough, and get this champ. And I was giving him all I had on that stage lights, and it worked, I guess.
Your 59 beat his 56. I'll say it worked.
We'll take it. Thanks.
What a lever.
So John Force just wins it on the starting line. Is he happy? Absolutely. He will move on to the final 4 here. And now back to Casey Spurlock. And Big Daddy, we saw that motor in pieces a little while ago.
Well, Brock, I guess we're fixing to find out just how good those mechanics really are.
Oh, absolutely. And let's remember at Englishtown, the last stop on the tour, they had low elapsed time of the world that weekend at 5.19 seconds at sea level. You know, in the near lane is Tom Hoover. And you hear a lot of racers like Joe Amato say, oh, those valuable Winston points. Tom Hoover says, what does this round pay in Denver? Because he's racing with pretty empty pockets, and he almost got his pocket picked in round number 1 when he was up against Tim Gross with some new corporate sponsorship. That young man was tough, but Gross either made a mistake or there was a mechanical failure. Watch this in the far lane. Tim Gross has Tom Hoover beat. At half track, he's ahead. He maintains that lead. Hoover's in the near lane, a car length back. All of a sudden, out comes the parachute on Gross, which was just enough for the blur in the near lane to beat the blur in the far lane. I talked to Gross. He was disappointed. Well, Tim, I have the unfortunate duty of telling you you didn't win that one. It was that close. But you know, your parachute came out a little bit earlier. That might have cost you.
The thing acted like it stopped accelerating and all that. And I'm assuming it must have just fallen out. Because I was nowhere near the lever and all that. And when it nosed over, then I obviously lifted right away, too, because I thought I started hurting the motor.
It does happen. These parachutes sometimes just shake out. The violence of the funny car.
A tough break for Tim, but a great break for Tom Hoover, who just got into this race by a wink. And he'll go against Casey Spurlock, who, as Steve said earlier, Big Daddy has been running real strong lately.
But he is running an untested engine. And, you know, this team is not quite as experienced as some of these other teams out there. They're only 1 year in this business, and this is the time when experience really counts for a lot.
And it wasn't just a simple matter of plugging in an entire new engine. They really had to build a motor in the minimum amount of time between rounds. Oh, a great launch off the mark by Hoover. Couple that with problems for Spurlock and put Hoover in the final 4 and a few extra bucks in that racing account, which they desperately need. A 561 at 224 miles an hour. Spurlock pops out of the emergency hatch. He's just fine. It's the quickest way out of the car after mechanical problems. Let's go to Don with George Hoover.
Well, it looks like you're right in the hunt there. 561, not all that bad.
Good. I can't see that far. I'm getting so old I can't even see the car.
That was a good run, George.
Yeah, thanks.
Don't kid yourself. That man is a whole encyclopedia knowing things about nitro funny cars. And he has put his son, Tom Hoover, into the final 4 against Jim White. Jim White will have lane choice in that pairing. The other pair, Ed McCullough versus John Forrest. Ed McCullough will enjoy lane choice. We'll be back with more from Denver.
When my customers ask about ignition parts, I tell them if you're driving an everyday car, regular replacement brands work just fine. But if they're driving something special, I recommend high-performance Excel parts like the powerful 50,000-volt supercoil and their Super Duty caps with brass inserts. So if you want a performance tune-up, get the parts that perform. Excel.
Available at quality parts stores coast to coast.
94 in the shade right now at 2:15. Let's go back to the race.
Thanks, Bob. After 92 laps, the rate best this car seems to be really pulling away from the...
Many manufacturers provide brakes for consumer cars.
The other drivers are going to have trouble.
But only one has been good enough to also outfit the last 33 Indy winners. Ray Bestis, the best in brakes.
NASCAR fans, check out the new Magic Tees. Indoors, they look like today's showroom new sport coupes. Outdoors, they dramatically change into NASCAR's hottest machines. Waltrip, Elliott, Schrader, and more. Not available anywhere else. Call 1-900-226-TEES for a free Magic Tee catalog and a chance to win a 1990 Chevy Lumina, or write to the address on your screen. That's 1-900-226-TEES. NASCAR Magic Tees. They're hot.
He's exciting. Eddie Raven with special guest David Slater in concert, Church Street Station. Tuesday on TNN, the Nashville Network.
At the end of the Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals competition here at Vandermeer Speedway, we'll be announcing the winner of the Goodyear Eagle Driver of the Race Award. And Goodyear will be giving $1,000 to the scholarship fund of the Specialty Equipment Market Association in that driver's name. Who will it be? Well, we'll just have to wait and find out. Right now, I can tell you one thing. Brock Yates, Don Garlitz, we're going into pro stock.
And Steve, of the 3 pro classes, this is the one that suffers the most in this rare air, pro stock.
That's right. They can't put in more nitro and drive the blowers harder. They have to use pump gasoline, and they're required to use 2 4-barrel carburetors. So good driving is what can really pay off here. And Brad Klein, well, he got a real thrill in his pro stock career earlier today in round number 1 of pro stock competition. From Amarillo, Texas, he was paired up with the number 3 qualifier, Bob Glidden, in his Ford Pro. Klein had qualified only number 14. But watch right off the mark. What's the 4 lane? The 10-time Winston champion in the category, Bob Glidden, broke the throttle linkage right off the starting line. I talked with a just discouraged Glidden. One of those cheap parts, but you...
Well, you know, when your year's going this way, this is the way it goes. Until it changes around, I guess this is the way it'll be.
It's got to change sooner or later.
So Glidden's misfortune is Brad Klein's good fortune, placing him up against Buddy Ingersoll, the veteran from Illinois, in this round-true pro stock action.
Ingersoll for years competed in the Sportsman classes with turbocharged V8s and V6s. He wishes he had a turbocharger now, but they're not legal in NHRA pro stock. The crowd looks on wondering if Klein could make it 2 in a row. No, Brad Klein left too soon. He is disqualified, a foul start, a red light, call it what you want. Disregard the man who crossed the finish line first. The win goes to Ingersoll at a 784, 174 miles per hour.
Well, Steve, let me tell you something about that red light by Klein. Against Glidden, he ran a 4:21 reaction time. A perfect is 400. Well, to get a 4:21, you've got to anticipate that yellow just a little bit. You're counting on Buster Couch to push the button when you want him to. Well, that time, he didn't do it.
And he paid the price. And the benefactor was Buddy Ingersoll. Steve?
Been a long time, Buddy. In fact, I don't think we've ever talked with you going into that Final Four.
No, we just got started with pro stock last year, and me and Jeff Beldy and my son Mark, we've been working real hard, and this year it's coming a little faster each race, and hopefully we can get back to what we used to do, win a few of them.
Great to see you have some success.
Thank you.
And now Joe Lapone getting ready to go against Larry Morgan. Joe from Berwyn, Pennsylvania, the benefactor of an excellent run against Jerry Ekman in the first round, Steve Evans.
That's right, Brock. Jerry Ekman came in here the Winston points leader in pro stock. He met up with Lapone, as you said, in round number 1. Lapone was the 10th qualifier. Ekman was the 7th qualifier. Ekman's Trans Am looked to have a good chance. It was Ekman off the mark first ahead of the Beretta of Lapone, but Lapone stayed with him. Lapone pulled even and ahead.
I don't think I was late on the line. In fact, I think I might have left on Joe. We got halfway down the track, and the motor stumbled, and he went around me, but I was out on him and pulling away, and it just, I don't know, this place, tough place to run fast.
You said it all for everybody.
So another one of the top pros falls in the shadow of Thunder Mountain as Joe Lapone gets ready to face yet another really tough competitor, Larry Morgan for Newark, Ohio, the number 2 qualifier.
Yeah, and by qualifying number 2, he tells us that he's not having the motor problems in the altitude that Ekman was. There is Morgan in the far lane. It is Morgan with his best reaction time of the year. Can he hold on? By a car and a half. Larry Morgan 7.79 seconds to Lapone 7.88. Outstanding driving by Larry Morgan, and he'd been getting a little criticism here and there for his reaction time, but boy, that was about as good as they can get safely.
You are on board with Darrell Alderman in the only Dodge Daytona racing and NHRA Pro Stock competition. He will go against Ricky Smith. But in the meantime, let's go to Steve with Larry Morgan.
Been practicing your reaction time. They're getting a lot better.
Well, you know, you got on me the last few races. I have to step up somewhere. I don't want you cutting on me all the time.
I'll take credit for it.
Well, Steve, I think you ought to give them all a little nudging down there. We like to see those good reaction times.
Well, here's a man who's showing some real quality driving at the wheel of a very, very good automobile. Darrell Alderman in an underdog car, Steve Evans, that has shown enormous strength this year.
Well, here's a man who has shown enormous strength in the cockpit. That is Ricky Smith, King, North Carolina. He and Darrell Alderman have had consistently the best reaction times in this entire category. Boy, that's saying something. There are some whole shot artists that seem to be mentally connected to the Christmas tree. Now, with his hand on the lever that pulls second gear is Darrell Alderman. Alderman, a poor start. You see the blue car out the driver's window. That is Ricky Smith. He's ahead. Alderman goes for the shoot. They cross the finish line. Darrell is the second car across that stripe. How about Ricky Smith, Don Garlits? Unbelievable.
I've never seen a hole shot so good, and Alderman is generally a good lever. Watch this lever. It looks like it's two different car races. And I'll tell you what, Steve, in this type of racing, especially up on this mountain, you don't give away handicaps like that, or you're whipped. And Ricky Smith made the best of it. As we saw in that in-car camera, what a beautiful shot. And here we see it down course. Alderman had the best seat in the house. He could see Ricky Smith's car the entire race. I mean, the back part of the car. Now remember, a .400 is a perfect light. Ricky Smith had a .410 to Alderman's .515. And even though he had a better ET, he lost.
I never would have dreamed, Ricky, that you could drill fellow hole shot artist Darrell Alderman by 1/10 of a second.
Well, he got me last race, you know, and he got me bad. I was running good, should have won the race. So I made up my mind this time. I'm going for broke here this weekend. I'm running good. I sure hope I can win it, Steve.
Well, he sure got a good shot at it if he can pull reaction times like that. Right now, though, we've got Warren Johnson versus Mark Powick. Johnson, #1 qualifier, against Powick, #9. Earlier, Steve had a look with Mark's car as to how these guys set these automobiles up at this altitude.
When the consumer buys a brand new automobile in a mile-high city like Denver, Colorado, there'll be a little different package under the hood. From the factory, there'll be a little more ignition timing so that the spark plug fires a bit earlier. The computer chip will be remodeled to allow less fuel into the engine to coincide with less air. The spark plugs will be of a hotter range. More importantly, the camshaft inside the engine that controls the valves will be of a different grind. Now, this is Mark Powick's rent-a-car, and what's true here is also true with his Pro stock. Those are about the only things he can do. He's already running as much compression as is humanly possible. And I mentioned the camshaft as being very important in the rent-a-car, as it is in his 500 cubic inch Pro stock motor. It is ground differently so that the intake valve stays open longer, the exhaust valve closes earlier, all trying to trap more cylinder pressure. And the instantaneous overlap in most cars at sea level when they're open at the same time is virtually eliminated. So Mark Powick's Pro stock science here at 5,800 feet is from his rent-a-car.
Some of those fuelers ought to be over there looking at some of that stuff. Sounds good to me.
Well, we'll see how it works because he's going against the #1 qualifier, Warren Johnson, who ran a 7:76 here. So,
well, I'm telling you, these guys are razor sharp. Johnson with a good light for him. Powick matching wheels with him to the far end, though. And then the muscle of Johnson's Oldsmobile takes over. 779 to a 789, 1/10 of a second victory for Warren Johnson. And that's a train length in today's Pro stock racing.
So we've got the pairings now for the final 4 in Pro stock here at Denver. That will be Ricky Smith versus Warren Johnson. Warren has the lane choice in that race. The other pair, Larry Morgan versus the underdog, Buddy Ingersoll. Larry Morgan has lane choice in that race. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Mission: create the ultimate automobile polish. Establish the new definition of shine, the new standard for protection. Mission accomplished. New liquid crystal, the most technologically advanced automobile polish ever made. New liquid crystal was applied to this badly oxidized 1982 Blazer. With no rubbing, no buffing, its showroom shine is instantly restored. After polishing with new liquid crystal, this car was put through a car wash 104 times, 2 years worth of car washings, and water still beads. New Liquid Crystal will give your car unequaled protection and an extraordinary deep gloss shine nothing on the street can beat. Try Liquid Crystal. If you don't agree that it shines and protects better than any car wax you've ever used, we'll send you your money back. New Liquid Crystal automobile polish. Quite simply, the best shine and protection money can buy.
Joe Amato. When he goes out for a Sunday drive, he goes with Autolite. But Monday through Saturday, Joe goes one better. Autolite Platinum, the premium performance plug for your everyday driving. This Joe's not your average Sunday driver. And Autolite Platinum's not your average everyday plug.
This is not what you want in a shave. Now, you've got the edge. This is the shave with 6 rich lubricants. This is the shave that reduces irritation. This is the shave. For less irritation, you've got the edge.
Now that it's good and dark, we have got some nitro flames on tap for you. But first, we'd like to remind you of a drag racing feature you are sure to want to take advantage of. It's NHRA Now, presented by Castrol GTX. NHRA Now is a 24-hour telephone hotline featuring in-depth coverage of your favorite drivers and events. And speaking of favorite drivers, look at this gorgeous onboard shot with Kenny Bernstein, Brock Yates.
Oh, it's fantastic. As we watch Kenny do his burnout, he will go against Gary Ormsby here in the final 4 pairing. And he has run very, very well, not in a little part due to the chassis changes that we've been talking about. Earlier, Steve had a look at that automobile.
When Kenny Bernstein and I talked about chassis changes on his car at the end of the track, well, here's what we were talking about. After the Summer Nationals in New Jersey, the team went to Pennsylvania, the chassis shop of Mike Case, and they back-halfed the car. That's racer parlance for back-halving the car, literally cutting it off. You can see this is all brand new tubing as compared to the front of the car. Now, they did this for 2 reasons. One, they moved the rear end 2 inches closer to the engine. That means there's more weight to the center line of the axle. That means more traction. Also, they remounted the engine where it tilts up about 1 inch. That's weight transfer. Again, more traction. It seems to be paying off here as the car is kind of dangling the front wheels as it leaves, and the crew chief, Dale Armstrong, is very, very happy with what they've accomplished.
What do you think about this, Don Garlitz?
Oh, they're moving in the right direction. That's the way I like to build these cars. Engines up and back. Let's have traction.
All right, they're staged and ready. Kenny Bernstein leaves with Ormsby. We don't see Ormsby. Bernstein didn't see Ormsby. The crew needed this lift. They've had such a rotten exposure to top fuel in their first year in the category. Bernstein wins it 5:27. Let's watch it again. Both of them cut 4-1 lights. That's almost impossible to do for 2 drivers, but they did it. The Nitro Flames, I told you earlier, they'd be as tall as the wings. Look at this. They're taking their own light with them. Down the racetrack here at night at Vandermeer Speedway. Bernstein near lane, Ormsby far lane. Wow.
Boy, I'll tell you, Bernstein looked like the old Bernstein of the funny car. He needed every bit of that reaction time in ET to beat Ormsby, and it was very close.
A brilliant reaction time, a 5:28. Kenny Bernstein, your first top fuel final.
It's unbelievable. I tell you, what a run with Ormsby. That he right there at the finish line, Steve, I looked over and I said, maybe a fender or in these cars, maybe a wheel. Right. That was it. Heck of a race.
And I'll tell you, there's a couple of guys back at the starting, and one in particular, Joe Amato, who was awfully glad to see you put Ormsby out.
Well, I know, and I'm sure Ormsby would be glad if Holly puts him away, so because those guys are running for that championship close, and it's a tough game, but it's great today.
Well, this is exactly what Kenny's talking about right now. Joe Amato versus Frank Hawley.
And you know, Brock, whenever a driver looks down there, especially like Amato, and he sees Ormsby's been put out, it just kind of gives him a little extra shot. He wants to go hard.
Frank Hawley has moved in. He's deep stage, trying to get a better reaction time. He gets a too good a reaction time. Hawley, red light, stays with the throttle, but it's all over. Tim Richards, Jerry Amato say yes. A 5:14, a final round berth, and the points lead belongs to Amato. Don is with crew chief Tim Richards.
Consistency is the name of the game.
And today we have it, thank God. I don't know, Bernstein taking out Ormsby made us pretty happy, and we're happy to make this point deal up. And I think we lead in the points now, and that's what we're after. Thanks.
Frank Hawley is as bright a driver as they come. He knew after seeing that 513, his only hope was a hole shot, and he gambled and didn't get it. So Joe Amato will have lane choice over Kenny Bernstein. Kenny in his first Top Fuel final round. And I'll tell you, some guys who are paying attention to the Oldsmobile, the crew of Larry Morgan, as they face a newly resurgent Buddy Ingersoll. Stay with us from the Mopar Parts Mile High National.
The next time your car is in the shop, remember, Fram oil filters protect your engine better because they stop more dirt the first time through than any other filter. Fram, you can pay a little now or a lot later.
Where can you go on Goodyear Wrangler radials? Where can you go on Goodyear Wrangler radials? Just about anywhere you want. Put on a set of Goodyear Wrangler radials, and you'll know why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
If you're looking for a rotor or a windshield wiper motor, yeah, you'll find it at CarQuest.
If you've got the smarts, then it's the place for parts.
Yeah, you'll find it at CarQuest.
Why run around town when they've got it all down at CarQuest?
Take it from Roy Clark and the repairmen. If it's a really tough part, then don't lose heart. Yeah, you'll find it at CarQuest.
Who had a hit song with the races on before Sawyer Brown? Was it Johnny Cash, George Jones, or Buck Owens? Think you know? Call 1-900-FUN on TNN and test your knowledge of country music trivia. Your answers may bring you great prizes. Each call costs 95 cents per minute. Keep track of the hottest country acts around by calling 1-900-FUN on TNN. Your concert connection to your favorite country stars. Find out who's performing when and where. Each call costs 95 cents per minute.
We're to the Final Four action here at Denver, the funny cars. This is John Force, who you see going against Ed McCullough. And I'll tell you what, Don Garlett, this is going to be a race and a half.
Well, you got a couple of titans up there now, and I'll tell you, neither one wants to give an inch, like an irresistible force and an immovable object.
They're both pre-staged. We're looking at McCullough here. He doesn't seem anxious at all to move forward. Neither does John Force. A little mind game going on. The starter in the red and white, that's Buster Couch. McCullough got an evil eye from Buster, immediately moved in, and we've got a race. John Force sees McCullough's blade. John Force has been beat. A winning 553, a losing 556.
Just getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, it was a real important round of racing to us. Thanks, guys. You know, we needed to win that one real bad. We were afraid to press real hard, but track seems great. I guess we could have probably got away with a little more, you know, but we're pleased.
Force didn't trust you there, did he?
Not a bit. No, it's a great game, you know.
Indeed, it was a great game, and the winner off the starting line was Ed McCullough. His 4.8 light to John Force's 5.4. Slow for Force, Don Garlett.
Boy, I'll tell you, Ed McCullough really drilled him on the starting line. Force stepped up just a little bit from his past run, but McCullough continues to get stronger and stronger as this race goes on. It just seems like they're getting air from somewhere else that's not available to these other cars. Look at him go.
A decisive victory. As you see, there's McCullough, and tailing along is Force. Let's go to the winner.
If Ed McCullough was to stay in this Winston points hunt for the championship, he had to get rid of John Force. You did it with the best elapsed time of the Mile High Nationals of 5:53.
Well, every round's getting better, Steve, you know. I mean, we got to beat Force. We got to get him out early. We wanted Larson to put him out last round, but the boys are tough. They're ahead of us. We're on the comeback, and, you know, we'll be okay.
In the final.
Thank you, Steve-O.
Okay, here is the second half of the Final Four and funny car coming up. That is Tom Hoover, decidedly the underdog, going against Jim White. Don Garlitz.
But I'll tell you, Hoover's been having some good luck today. He run a 5.61 in that last round. Maybe this is going to be his day.
And this is the second consecutive NHRA national event where Tom Hoover has made it to the Final Four. Roland Leon with a flashlight out, checking the oil pressure and the water temperature inside the car. It's a little darker in there than it is outside. Hoover's ready, waiting for White. White nudges in. A good start. Hoover gets sideways. Oh! Hoover lights up mid-course. Sliding in his own oil, Don.
What a beautiful job of driving. He gets the car stopped. The fire extinguishers have put out the fire. The flash that you see on the windshield is not fire in the car. That's the safety vehicle's lights coming. Hoover is okay. Engine is still running. There's the fire extinguishers. It's all over. You can really see the safety equipment and the people who ran the safety safari have done a good job. Hoover is just black from all of that soot from the fire.
Well, he's a lucky young man, as is Jim White, because he had to lift after Tom Hoover's engine blew. So it's possible that Tom could have beaten him.
You bet. Even though White took a very nice hole shot, Hoover had him at a disadvantage, because as we went down course, you'll see White starts to get into trouble. But Hoover had already lost the engine, began to slide in his own oil. And look at that. White almost got into the safety area on the side, touching that white line. But all attention was focused on this spectacular fire on Tom Hoover's car, which even looks worse at night, where you can really see the fire and the reflection on the drag strip. Look at that car slide around in the oil coming out of that engine, where he obviously had kicked some rods out of the block, allowing all of that oil to go out under the rear wheels.
Well, fortunately, Tom Hoover is okay, and Steve Evans has made his way to him.
Well, we're glad to report that Tom Hoover not even singed, and that was a lot of driving, getting that car stopped and that fire out, Tom.
All I could think about was some of the experiences we had over the years, and I did my best to stop it. I'm telling you what, the smoke is plenty heavy in there. At one point, I was out of the car because I couldn't breathe, and the car was still running. I went back down and made sure the fuel shut was off so the motor would shut off, but it was plenty exciting there for a while.
Well, the interior 10 kept the fire off of you.
It did, and I couldn't stop. I was sliding the oil. I knew I hydraulicked it. It dropped the cylinder wheel left, and it put a rod right out.
By getting it stopped and getting the fire out, you minimize the damage to the car.
It's my money, and I'm stopping that baby. I almost hit the guardrail.
Amazing the things you'll do when you're paying the bills. As we have a look at the funny car final, it'll be Ed McCullough versus the man who was the benefactor of Tom Hoover's misfortune, Jim White.
And out of misfortune comes a little bit of good news. It won't be inexpensive to fix the engine, but Tom Hoover's car is virtually unscathed. That was oil burning on the surface.
Go for the big ones and pick up on all the professional bass angler secrets as host Ray Scott takes you across the country to follow the Bassmasters Championship Tournament Trail. There's plenty of fishing action and lots of how-to tips as you travel with the pros, casting off for big prize money in some of the hottest fishing spots to be found anywhere. The Bassmasters. Sports Sunday at 10:30 Eastern and 7:30 p.m. Pacific, only on TNN.
Attention landowners, here comes a very unusual mowing machine, the breakthrough Trailblazer Sickle Bar Mower from Troy-Bilt. Ordinary lawnmowers can only mow your manicured front lawn, but the Trailblazer mows off your lawn, giving you control of your entire property, even your most impossible areas. Now you can neatly maintain walls and fences, quickly eliminate brush around outbuildings, easily carve out safe fire breaks and paths, even keep streams and ponds open, beautiful, and useful. Trailblazer actually slices through weeds and brush like a hot knife through butter. You'll even topple brush and saplings up to 1/2 inch thick. And with high traction powered wheels, steep hills are no problem. So if you'd like to take control of your whole property the fast, easy Trailblazer way, for free information on the off-lawn Trailblazer Sickle Bar Mower, call toll-free 1-800-922-4900. That's 1-800-922-4900. Please call now. Operators are standing by.
Back at the Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals as crew chief Tim Richards oversees Joe Amato's Top Fuel dragster getting ready to go against Kenny Bernstein in the finals. Earlier, Steve had a look at a really unique automobile here.
Look at this great-looking Dodge Dakota Roadster pickup I found in the Mopar Parts Performance Tent on Manufacturer's Midway. Unfortunately, it's a one-off mechanical and styling exercise you can't yet buy, but I couldn't resist showing it to you. The bed is all done in hand-formed aluminum. The colors, as you might expect, the hot color, so popular with today's fashion designers. The exhaust is ported out the side, and this is functional. It really works. Great-looking seats and roll bar, and it doesn't just look good sitting here. It's got a lot of muscle under the hood as well. The 3.9-liter Dodge V6 with a B&M supercharger on it. I show you this truck for two reasons. One, it's a great looker, and number two, in 1991, NHRA is creating new sport truck classes in stock eliminator for both 4- and 6-cylinder engines. So now's the time for you truckers to join the National Hot Rod Association. You'll receive National Dragster 48 weeks a year, the patch, the pin, the rule book, and if you call the number on your screen right now, you'll get absolutely free Diamond P's video, Drag Racing 89. So keep on trucking with NHRA.
All right, more pro stock action. Final four. Warren Johnson going against Ricky Smith. And remember, Don Garlett's Ricky Smith caught a nearly perfect light the last time we saw him.
Well, he's going to have to cut one now because Warren Johnson qualified #1 and has been strong every round up to now.
Warren Johnson just brimming with confidence in his machine. Ricky Smith, that same kind of inner strength in his driving. Buster Couch says, quit messing around here, guys. It's time to race. And boy, they do move when Buster says it's time. Oh, it is a gorgeous start. Johnson leaves with Smith. Johnson drills Ricky Smith out of the program. 774 to Smith 783. The real war was on the starting line. The wonder by just a tiny little fraction with Smith that Johnson immediately covered that up. And now it's time to find out who races Johnson in the final. Will it be Morgan or Ingersoll?
Well, boy, I'll tell you, my money's on Morgan. I just don't think that Ingersoll can continue to run. He's had some breaks earlier today, but this is where he's going to meet his Waterloo.
Maybe so. But let's first go to Steve at the far end.
Well, Warren Johnson just continues to reset his own track record and have his way with the pro stock field. A 774, Warren.
Excellent. At least we won. That's the most important part. Let's start there first.
And another important thing, you hear the rumble in the background. You left right with Ricky Smith, the leaver.
Well, I think he's just got a little bit too much acclaim for what he's done. Everybody can lead with Ricky if they just work at it.
Now, that's the kind of confidence I like to hear.
Well, let's see if he can make it pay off. But first, he's going to have to face one of these guys. Larry Morgan versus Ingersoll, and Morgan drives away after Buddy Ingersoll breaks halfway.
Well, I will have to confess, it looked like Ingersoll did have a little trouble. Might have got out of the groove there just a little bit.
Well, Don, that sets the stage for the pro stock final. Warren Johnson versus Larry Morgan. Two veterans, and Warren Johnson will enjoy lane choice.
Another final round in the dream season, I guess we could say, of Larry Morgan.
Yeah, I guess it would be a dream season.
You didn't?
I don't think I ran well enough to get lane choice, but I guess we'll just have to do the best we can the other lane.
You have a keen feel for it. No, you didn't. A 778.
Yeah. Well, I figured that's what it ran, but I guess I'll just have to make up for it on the tree, right?
That's what it'll take.
Going to get interesting. Both Morgan and Johnson expressing high confidence in their ability to squeeze a light. As we watch Bernie Federley getting his man ready, that will be Ed McCulloch. He'll face Jim White in the funny car final.
Some of the best Sunday drivers you'll ever see. We're Mopar, Chrysler Motors Parts. Chrysler engineered Mopar parts prove themselves on the track for winning performance on the road.
Off every time you buy a case of Kendall's most popular motor oils. Pour it in and pour it on. And pour it on.
And now the great Nolan Ryan demonstrates his pitching technique.
The big metal shaver. It's great.
How about that? And you know, Jim, it's pitches like that that'll get him into the Hall of Fame.
Boy, you said it, Mel.
Hi, folks. This is Jackie Bushman, the Buckmaster. If you enjoy the great sport of whitetail deer hunting, you'll love being a member of Buckmasters. You'll receive 6 action-packed issues of the Buckmaster's Whitetail magazine. Whether you're a gun or bow hunter, we'll bring you up to date on the newest innovations to hit the sport. How-to articles to advance your hunting skills, and humorous deer hunting tales by deer hunters just like you. You'll also receive your choice of a real tree or blazed orange hunting cap, a vehicle decal, a handsome embroidered patch, a sample of snow seal and sport wash, a booklet on how game animals see the ultraviolet spectrum, and 1 quality scent from Wellington Leisure Products. Your total membership package retails for over $50, but is yours today for only $20. Don't miss this opportunity to join thousands of deer hunters in an association designed just for you. Your membership package retails for over $50, but is yours today for only $20. Call now, 1-800-238-9300. That's 1-800-238-9300, and become a Buckmaster today.
This is TNN, the Nashville Network.
Well, the Denver fans love their drag racing, and they're hanging out at the Kenny Bernstein pit as one of his crewmen works on the clutch as they get ready to go against Joe Amato in the Top Fuel final, Kenny's first ever final in Top Fuel. Earlier, Steve had a look at one of the really interesting automobiles that run in the competition eliminator class.
As in any NHRA national event, here at Bandimere Speedway, in addition to the pros, hundreds of Sportsman racers competed. Now, before Brock gives you their final results, let me show you one of the fans' favorite cars in Competition Eliminator. It is this Corvette Roadster driven by Dan Nicholson from Southern California. Now, most of the comp cars go for the normally aspirated engine and longer wheelbase vehicle for consistency. Not Nicholson. He likes a lot of horsepower. Supercharged 436 cubic inch aluminum big block Chevrolet. Now, before you Corvette owners have a cardiac arrest, they did not butcher an original car. This is a replica of a 1962 Corvette. Now, consistency they have found in the AA altered class. The last 10 runs, this car has run within 2/100ths of a second of the previous run. They also just set the national record at sea level at 7.49 seconds. And Brock, how did they do in comp?
Well, Steve, as luck would have it, Dan Nicholson was eliminated in round 3 by the man on the left side of your screen, Todd Patterson. Then it was Patterson in the far lane versus David Nickens in the competition eliminator final. It was a good race. Nickens was a little late off the line, and Patterson went on to win it at an 891. Top alcohol dragster victory, Roger Prim, his first ever in NHRA competition. Top alcohol funny car, regular winner Pat Austin backed in victory lane. Super stock, Gary McClasson. The stock winner was Jerry Emmons. In Super Gas, Scott Lemon was the winner. The victor in the Super Comp category was Greg Carrillo. And Frank Hawley brought his drag school graduates here, and Terry Rice came out on top. Our congratulations to all the Sportsman victors.
And what a pro stock final. Performance and words. Warren Johnson says, heck, anybody can leave as good as Ricky Smith. And Morgan says, well, I can't outrun Johnson. I'll just leave him tied to a stump on the starting line. We have heard both these drivers kind of throw the gauntlet. There is Morgan in the Oldsmobile owned by Bob Pinella. There is Warren Johnson. He operates his own team out of Duluth, Georgia. This is the final round. It is Larry Morgan away first, the way he said it would be. And Johnson cannot catch him. Larry Morgan has won with a slower elapsed time, 7:77, to a losing 7:74. Quote Larry Morgan, I'll just have to make it up on the tree.
And make it up on the tree he did. 2 drivers, practically equal matched cars, both of them bragging they were going to get the advantage, but Larry Morgan, when the chips were down, took the advantage. Now, generally, Warren can make up enough power down course and drive around these cars. We've seen him do it several times, but Morgan was ready for it. He wasn't going to give him an edge. There he comes. Very close, but close only counts in horseshoes, and Morgan takes the win very handily over Warren Johnson.
You said you'd do it on the tree, and you did.
Wow. Thank God. I knew I was going for it. I knew that the lane was bad. Thank God we got down the lane good. Woo! Woo!
5/100ths was your hole shot. 777 for you, a quicker 74 for Warren Johnson.
Wow, that's good. We're really pleased with that. And man, I couldn't be any happier, Steve. I have to thank Castro, Bob Pinella, Oldsmobile, Jim Oliver, Andy Magnuson, Gary Pearman, Tom Roberts, my wife, kid.
Everybody. Thank yourself, because without your reaction time, we wouldn't be talking.
Well, I'll tell you, I was trying awful hard, and let me tell you something. I come out here to win 3 races. That's what I want to do.
Boy, he wasn't boasting in the semifinals. He did it.
Part of the Western swing for Easterner Larry Morgan, and he starts off in great fashion. All right, let's go to the funny car final. Ed McCullough versus Jim White. The burnouts are complete. Ed McCullough has lane choice, the Hawaiian car. Jim White getting here with just a little bit of luck. He had to get out of the throttle in his race against Tom Hoover and went on, though, to win. Earlier, Steve had a chance to talk to Jim just before this race.
Few things are more important on the modern day funny car than adjusting the clutch, and that's being left to the driver, Jim White. And Jim, I know you're sick and tired of hearing I've never won a national event, and you want to change that.
Oh, don't I ever. But I've never won a national event, and I want to change that real bad.
Well, you're working on the department that could be responsible for it.
Yeah, it really can. The clutch and the clutch management system is really important in the cars today. Wes Cerny does the management system. I do the clutch back here, and it works good.
What happened to the car against the flaming Tom Hoover?
We jumped on it just a little bit hard. We were going for lane choice. We were going for low AT, and it spun the tires and got out of the groove over by the wall, and I had to shut it off. But we're okay.
You got a tough customer coming up in the Ace McCullough.
Yeah, we can be tough.
Going to be a good race, Don Garlits. 2 old pros. Excellent, excellent off the line, both men.
Roland trying to get back to that 554 earlier.
Excellent start. But McCullough asserts himself. White crosses the center line. It is Ed McCullough winning in the same lane that White had problems with in the semifinals. A 545, 260 miles per hour. Caps off an incredible night for McCullough. Don Garlits is there.
Did you notice the scoreboard?
Yeah, I did. I was kind of impressed with that, really. That was fun.
545.
Yeah, conditions are awful good right now. I think, you know, it's definitely the time to throw down a shot if you could, you know. We were kind of ready, you know. We thought, you know, White's certainly capable of running an awful good ET, and we weren't taking any chances racing him. So, you know, we're kind of happy about that. It's a nice time to win a race. Great morale builder.
Well, that's a great run for up here on this hill.
Yeah, Ed's been driving the car real well, and you know, the crew's doing a great job in the car, and I mean, I couldn't be happier right now. We really needed this at this point.
Well, a major victory for Federley, and McCullough puts them back in the hunt for the Winston Point Championship, Don Garlits.
Beautiful start. Jim White did a nice job off the starting line, but the McCullough power came on immediately, and White's car began to go out of control, crossing the center line, giving an automatic win to Ed McCullough. Really a nice race up to that point, but White had to get out of it.
No, I guess there's no such thing as the perfect race, but for Ed McCullough today, he came awfully, awfully close. Incredible. New track record, 545.
We'll take it. I want to say something. I've been with Larry Minor for 7 years. We've won a lot of races. The man's never been in the winner's circle with me. He's here. Larry, this one's for you. I can't wait till he gets here. It's bitching.
Did you think you could run this good on the mountain? 545.
Well, run 550. They had the track record at a 550 last year. The racetrack's just getting better and better here. You know, our Oldsmobile, she did good. The team.
And Bernie Federley, your crew chief, he never overstepped his bounds with this car.
I mean, we got a game plan. Bernie, he's holding us in here. Our guys, our Goodyear tires, everything's great.
Everything's great. Can't add anything to that.
The ace is a happy man. Let's see if this man can be as happy in a few minutes. Kenny Bernstein, he'll go against Joe Amato in the Top Fuel final.
We asked some Honda owners why they switched to Dodge Spirit.
It's much roomier than a Honda.
You're not crunched in the back seat as you were in a Honda.
I feel that I'm getting my money's worth.
Dodge Spirit has an airbag.
Could save the life of someone in the family.
It's really built for travel.
It feels more solid than a Honda.
For me, Chrysler's making a car that's competing head-on with the Japanese.
Dodge Spirit, an American car Honda owners can be proud of.
Le Mans, the world's most famous 24-hour endurance race, and the scene of a major triumph for Jaguar and Goodyear. For both Goodyear and Jaguar, it was a double triumph. First and second at the 24 Hours of Daytona in February, and now, first and second at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Superior performance. It's why Jaguar chooses Goodyear, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
We've got some of the best Sunday drivers you'll ever see. We're Mopar, Chrysler Motors Parts. Chrysler-engineered Mopar parts prove themselves on the track for winning performance on the road.
This baby is going to have a very special year of first steps, first words, first smiles. And none of these firsts will ever happen again. Now, if you were this baby's parents, which film would you choose? No other film in the world gives you truer color than Kodacolor Gold film.
It's rough riding, bronc busting, bareback excitement, Texas style. Championship Rodeo, Sports Sundays on the Nashville Network. Pass the word.
Our waters are in trouble, deep trouble, and that hurts everyone. Now, the only way we can stop pollution is for everyone, I mean every one of us, to start taking an active stance and helping out. I'm Chris Hillman of the Desert Rose Band, asking you to help make a difference, help keep our water clean. Join TNN, the Nashville Network, in the Conservation Project. Pure water, pure country.
A public service message from TNN.
And then there were two. The finals in Top Fuel is all that remains of the third running of the NHRA Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals. You're riding on the burnout with Kenny Bernstein, and in the opposite lane, you can see Joe Amato. Joe Amato has taken the Winston points lead. Kenny Bernstein has made his first final since switching from funny car to Top Fuel. It's a big night, Don Garlits, for both of them.
Boy, and I'll tell you, it's not a more beautiful sight than these burnouts and these flames under these lights. And how excited Kenny Bernstein must be. He's had so much trouble this year with this transition from funny car to Top Fuel. And here he is finally at the Mile High in the final round.
But first, before we go racing, earlier, Steve was in the Kenny Bernstein pits to witness an interesting pre-race ritual.
Cheryl Johnson, Kenny Bernstein's longtime and only lady, is warming up the helmet using the heater in the van. And Cheryl, it has to be hard on you and on Kenny when you're so used to winning.
Well, it has been a real tough year for us, Steve, and we went through the 4 championship years, and it was wonderful. And this year, it is frustrating, but we know the team's working so hard, and we're frustrated just like they are. And tonight, even if we don't win in this final round, we already feel like we've won the race to get this far. So we feel like they've made some big adjustments to the car this last weekend, and it's worked, and Kenny's just so excited, and I am too. It's wonderful right now. It's the old feeling that we used to have. We love it.
What Cheryl is doing with that helmet is warming it up so that when Kenny puts it on his head, if the helmet was cold, it would cause that visor to want to fog up. And so this brings it up more to his body temperature.
And it's something that only happens at night. We're ready. The final pair. Cheryl Johnson looks on, toes crossed, fingers crossed, even her eyes are crossed, trying to wish Kenny Bernstein into the winner's circle. Joe Amato, the dominant car of this entire event. Bernstein with a magnificent start. Where's Amato? There's Amato. Kenny Bernstein with the leave of his life. Amato, 5:10, an unheard of elapsed time on the mountain at 275 miles per hour. Don Garlits is down in that melee trying to find crew chief Tim Richards. Don?
Strong, strong run.
Well, the air is pretty good here, but we've lost too many finals this year, and we aim to turn it around. That's why we're a little slow in qualifying. We're just going to turn the way we do things around and wind up a little stronger than we have in the final. It's been a hallmark of this team to be consistent, but we've lost too many finals, and we're aiming to turn that around. We need to keep Joe king of the hill.
Well said, Tim, and an excellent effort as he put together an absolutely powerhouse automobile here at the Mile High Nationals with Joe Amato.
Bernstein makes one of the best starts of his life, but the car just wasn't up to the power that Tim Richards had produced. He ran better and better every run, setting track records consistently, and that's what it takes to be a winner, and he is the champion.
Well, Joe Amato has won the Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals. He's taken the Winston points lead. He's run the quickest elapsed time in the history of the state of Colorado. All is well on Thunder Mountain, Joe.
Steve, I'm speechless. You know, you ever get a monkey on your back? We got us a hat trick. Three Mile High Mopar Nationals in a row. What can I say? You know, the race has been... Every 4 finals, you know, when you get the 4 finals, you don't want to start thinking about you're going to get it again, something's going to happen. So it's just...
Tell us about the race with Kenny.
It's a load off my back, you know, just... I knew Kenny was going to be tough, and I think he left a little bit on me because he seemed like he was fighting me, but the car just went out there and it went right down the track, you know. What do we run?
5:10.
5:10. God, and this Mile High in the sky to run 5:10. The Bandimers, it's a credit to them and NHRA to hang tough with this race. To stay here and run the race on Monday night, and all the fans from Bandimere come out here to see us race. It was a pleasure to do it. And my
Can you hang on to this points lead?
Well, it's going to be tough. You know, they got us in Ormsby seems to be we're away from the pack a little bit, but it's going to be tight right down to the end. But this team, Valvoline Top Fuel Dragster, and Tim Richards, and my wife, and Jeff, and Jimmy, and Wayne, and all the guys are doing such a good job keeping the car running steady. We want to make it exciting for the fans. That's what it's all about.
I can never add anything to a Joe Amato interview. Just congratulations again.
A lot of credit to be given to Joe Amato, Tim Richards, and the team. They did a brilliant job up on this mountain.
Don, in our opinion, the Goodyear Eagle driver of the race is Ed McCullough for consistent winning performance. So Goodyear will be sending a check for $1,000 in his name to the scholarship fund of the Specialty Equipment Market Association, who will be from a very good driver for a very good cause. So from Bandimere Speedway in Denver, Colorado, for Big Daddy Don Garlitz and Steve Evans, I'm Brock Yates. Thanks for joining us.
The executive producer for American Sports Cavalcade is Harvey M. Palish. Produced and directed by John B. Mullen. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by this special offer from Diamond P.
Whenever I hang out in the pits, the fans are always asking, hey, Steve, where can I buy a Diamond P hat? Let's get this straight. Diamond P hats are not for sale. You can't buy a Diamond P hat. Diamond P hats are for the Diamond P crew, except once a year when we give away hundreds of them to people who participate in the initial offering of our season-ending video. This year, it's Drag Racing 1990. Mail orders must be postmarked no later than Saturday, September 29th, 1990. Phone orders must be placed no later than midnight Sunday, September 30th, 1990 by calling the 800 number on your screen. Orders with hat will be available for shipping mid-November. Price is $24.95 plus $3.50 shipping and handling. Florida residents at 7% sales tax. So join me and my pals and order Drag Racing 1990 right now.
The American Sports Cavalcade is a presentation of Diamond P Sports.